Going on, everyone? So the Indiana Pacers have a real decision on their hands when it comes to Myles Turner, right? Are they going to keep him and ride him out during the season and hope that maybe they can convince him to sign a contract extension to stick around long term? Or are they going to just let him and take the risk of him walking? Are they going to decide to trade him? If they do trade him, are they willing to come down on some asking prices and get to a more reasonable point, especially as we move closer to the trade deadline? Do they get to a point where they're like, might as well recoup something, right? The Indiana Pacers are in a pretty good spot in the Eastern Conference, but realistically, they're probably not winning anything. And I'm sure that they know that as well. So if they could work something out in order to get some assets for Myles Turner rather than just losing him and then kind of retool in the offseason and, the couple seasons going forward to maybe potentially build a contender, that could be ideal for them. Obviously, the Lakers are a prime destination because Buddy Hield and Myles Turner were pretty much almost sent to the Lakers until Jeanie Buss decided to say no, and then they decided to ride out Russell Westbrook. And now the circumstances have completely changed, right? The Lakers, Russell Westbrook is actually a positive asset for them. He has been great, and they've really kind of figured out him and his role, and he's really embraced that. So now the asking price might be the same of 2 unprotected firsts for Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, but the Lakers, for them, it doesn't make sense to give up both firsts in that deal when Russell Westbrook is, again, a positive value player for them. Yes, the Indiana Pacers don't view him as that because they just want the assets and need to match salaries, so they're probably just buying Russell Westbrook out, but the Lakers still value him, so they don't want to do a net negative deal. So obviously, the Lakers could maybe potentially just go get Myles Turner. There's a lot of speculation going around on maybe a potential deal of like Patrick Beverley and Kendrick Nunn for Myles Turner. Of course, the Lakers would include 1 first-round pick based on what the reports have came out and said. But another deal that has kind of come to light per Dan Favels, which I actually think is pretty interesting. And again, this isn't my personal trade or anything like that. This is from Dan Favels, and he relayed this. So Indiana Pacers received Damian Jones, Russell Westbrook, Chicago's 2023 second-round pick, Lakers 2027 first-round pick unprotected, Lakers 2029 first-round pick unprotected. And the Lakers would receive Oshea, Brissett, Buddy Hield, Myles Turner, Cleveland's 2023 first-round pick, lottery protected, turns into 2 seconds if not conveyed. Cleveland Cavaliers are obviously good enough to end up conveying that pick this year, so the Lakers would get that pick this year. But, that's just protection, just in case, something crazy happens with Cleveland. That way they're able to get that pick. But in this sort of scenario, I think this isn't the worst thing in the world. Now, Brissett isn't like a huge standout, right? He's not a guy that's really going to jump out on the paper to you, but he's young. He's 24 years old, 6'7", sizable wing, can shoot the 3 ball, can play some solid defense, do a little bit of everything. He would be a really valuable piece, I think, for the Lakers. It makes a little more sense for the Lakers to give up the draft picks, like assuming that, hey, we still want both of those first unprotected. But now, because there's a little, circumstances have changed now, right? Russell Westbrook is no longer a negative value. We want your 2 first unprotected because we believe those are going to be really good in the future. And in doing so, we'll give you the Cavs pick, which will probably be, high 20s. But the Lakers scouting department and everything like that, they've been so good at hitting at those high picks and even second-round picks that I do believe the Lakers could get something of value out of that pick, as well as we'll give you a young 3-and-D style 6'7" wing that can help you now and the future, and it could be a piece for you, right? And he's kind of the odd man out. They already have, they have a plethora of guards and wings and all kinds of stuff, right? And then this is sort of a more mutually well-rounded trade because the Lakers would essentially get 4 players in this deal to unload Russell Westbrook and those first-round picks as opposed to just Buddy Hield and Myles Turner and both first-round picks, and the Lakers are basically taking a negative loss in that deal with Russell Westbrook, right? The Lakers really need size on the wing. The Lakers really need some 3-and-D shooting. In this case, you would get that. Now, I don't know how much Brissett would really kind of move the needle for the Lakers. Again, really done much for Indiana. Now, he's averaging around 16 minutes a game. He is shooting just under 37% from three. He shoots terribly from the free throw line, though, at 67%. And he's averaged around about 6 points a game. So again, he would be a sort of project player. He'd be a guy that's going to come in, that's going to give you, probably just sparing minutes. And your hope is that he becomes like a bit of a standout, that he's a guy that can give you some solid, just defensive minutes, knock down a couple threes here and there. Like if he can give you 6 points a game on just, a couple shots a game, then that's perfect, right? It'd be more for just the size of the defense and the age. Because again, he's 24 years old and he's got good size at 6'7". So he's a guy that can just come in and kind of be a growth type player, right? And you could still do a deal for like maybe Cam Reddish or something like that. Now you're starting to get these young, sizable wings that could really help with what the Lakers really ultimately need, right? The Lakers really need some size on the perimeter. And this is just a guy that would give you that could develop into something very promising for the Lakers. Obviously, the real prize is Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, although I still not really huge on this deal. I think this is a little better because you're getting two young sort of development players in Brissett and that first round pick that you would get for this season to pair with like a Max Christie, and then maybe you go get Cam Reddish, and then the Buddy Hield and Myles Turner would help you more. Now, I don't think Buddy Hield and Myles Turner move the needle enough for what you need, but the big thing that we need is perimeter players in size, which you would get that in this deal, and then you can maybe go make another move. I'm still not really big on 2 first-round picks for this, even with Brissett. Now, obviously, the whole Buddy Hield, Myles Turner, there's concerns beyond just, like, I don't think that this is a necessity. Myles Turner, he's very injury prone. He's had a lot of issues in the previous seasons. He's been a lot better this season so far, and hopefully that can continue. Now, there is the promise and the optimism of Buddy Hield, Myles Turner coming in and just fitting seamlessly, right? Imagine the front court of Myles Turner and Anthony Davis just blocking shots, being out there, just patrolling the paint, right? They could both kind of spread the floor a little bit. Although Anthony Davis hasn't shot great, he did pick it up a little bit before he got injured, but it was a very small sample size. He wasn't taking a lot of jumpers. But, Myles Turner, just having those two, like, good luck trying to score on the interior, which I do understand. But there's been a lot of questions with just Myles Turner and his fit with other bigs. Is it going to be clunky? Is it going to be awkward at times? Yes, Myles Turner can spread the floor, but if you're operating him as a wing, like, wouldn't it just be better to go get like a Bojan Bogdanovic or something? Yeah, you don't get the defense, but you don't get the perimeter defense with Myles Turner, right? And Anthony Davis, yeah, he could guard the perimeter a little bit, but you don't want Anthony Davis patrolling the perimeter for 40 minutes a game. Like, you're probably going to get him hurt quicker than if he was banging down low with the big men. And so that's another concern. Buddy Hield is basically just an open door defensively, although he is a dead-eye shooter, which could really help the Lakers and kind of draw the floor, which could make it easier for LeBron. Like, in my opinion, I would rather them just take Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn, and if you can, a couple seconds, maybe a first. Kind of not really big on a first for Buddy Hield, but if you could just get Buddy Hield and keep Russell Westbrook, I'd rather do that. Like, if you could, like, ideally. And this theoretically could happen. I don't think it will. But ideally, if you could figure out a way to get Bojan and Buddy Hield, again, theoretically you could do it. I don't think it would happen, but that would be ideal because then that just opens the floor so much more for Russell Westbrook. And now Russell Westbrook could be a lot more effective on offense, which means it opens up more for him and LeBron James. Or if you could get like Buddy Hield and just another shooter, period, then that just really helps open the floor more. But I'm not huge on Myles Turner, right? Like, don't get me wrong. If the Lakers did this trade tomorrow and they got Brissett, like if they got this exact deal, because I like this better than just Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, because you get a young 3-and-D style wing type player that could play both forward spots if you need him to. That I really like, and I like the idea of getting the Cavs first round pick this year. Again, it's going to be high, But still, it's going to, the Lakers scouting department has been great at finding talent, right? And the second round pick, undrafted. Imagine what they could do with, a higher first round pick on compare. And also they'd get, their first round pick this year. Well, the pick swap between them and the Pelicans, whichever one is conveyed, which will probably be the Pelicans pick. But still, you'd get essentially 2 first round picks. You'd get Brissett. Right, so now you got 3 guys along with Christie. You could probably still do the Cam Reddish deal. So now you got basically 5 young, talented core players, and that's not counting Scottie Pippen Jr., Cole Swider, Huff, like those guys that are currently being developed as well. And now you can start building this young core out that could really kind of push you into the future. Post LeBron, post AD. That would be something ideal. And then you get the Buddy Hield and Myles Turner for now. So I do like that better. I just think like with the way Thomas Bryant is playing right now, you still have winning Gabriel. I wouldn't mind another big, but I would rather them just go look at like a Hassan Whiteside, right? Because Thomas Bryant, especially the way he's been shooting from the 3 and especially the mid-range, you could have him play the 4 if you need him to. So I would rather them go look at like a free option like Hassan Whiteside, bring him in, and then, unload Damian Jones to somebody in some type of trade as like an additional salary rather than going in and unloading everything for Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. It's just, I just saw this and I was like, okay, like this is at least a more reasonable trade in my opinion for the Lakers, especially now. Because again, like the Indiana Pacers are very likely going to lose Myles Turner. Like that's very likely going to be the case in what's going to happen. And I don't think a bunch of teams are lining up to give up a bunch of assets to acquire Myles Turner. And for Indiana, like, wouldn't you want an expiring contract so you don't have to take on long-term salary? Like that's the last thing you need. Like, don't get me wrong, Indiana has cap space, but just because you have cap space doesn't mean you just want to, willy-nilly just throw it away. Right. So like it would be in their best interest to do, a Buddy Hield and, or do a Buddy Hield and Myles Turner for a Russell Westbrook, or do Myles Turner for Patrick Beverley and Kendrick Nunn, because at the very least, you're at least clearing off and you're not taking on long-term salary, but you're also getting assets, likely the same assets as anywhere else. And if you truly believe the Lakers picks are going to be a potential lottery pick in 5 years or whatever, wouldn't you rather have that than like the 27th pick in this year's draft, right? Like that's something like seriously to consider, right? Because if you're the Lakers, right, and you're trying to push your chips all in now, the whole idea is like who knows where they're gonna be in 5 years, like post LeBron, post AD, like the Lakers, many people believe are gonna be really bad. So yes, you could take the pick now and from like a Suns team or whatever, and now you get a high pick and you may or may not hit anything on it. Or you could take the risk to where the Lakers pick is a lottery pick, and now you get that, and if it is a lottery pick, now you're in a great position because now you just added, a top 5 draft talent to your team, that or you could just unload the pick and trade the pick because it has a ton of value. Right? And worst case scenario, it's like in the same range that you would get a pick for right now. So worst case scenario, you're just pushing that pick later on down the road. Best case scenario, you get a better pick, right? So even if like, let's say, it's the 27th pick now, or a high 20 pick now, if you can get like if the Lakers pick in 5 years is even like the 15th pick, like that's better than a 20th pick. And, again, it also comes down to like who's in the draft. How is the draft? Is it a good draft? Is it a bad draft? That we won't know until we get closer. But that's one of the reasons why so many teams are so interested in the Lakers picks, because they believe the Lakers are going to be terrible in 5 years and that without LeBron, nobody's coming to save them. Like a lot of people believe that like the only reason the Lakers are relevant right now is because LeBron went there. If he didn't go there, then the Lakers would still be a bottom feeding team, which may or may not be the case. But regardless, this Pacers trade, I think, is a little more easy to swallow, in my opinion, than just Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. I still am not huge on this trade, but I wouldn't hate it if it happened. But those are my thoughts and opinions. And as always, I pass the question on you. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think of this trade? Would you love it? Would you hate it? Do you think this one's better than just Buddy Hield and Myles Turner? get the Cavs first, get, O'Shea, Brissett. Is that something you'd be all for? I already feel whatever your thoughts are. Let me know down in the comments.